Look alive, NFL fans. It's NFL UnCut Week 3 with your host, Jason Zircone. We're going to dive into the Week 3 slate of games and do some ballsy predictions. We're going to look at some fantasy players. But before we do that, let's take a look at Week 2 and what transpired and what unfolded on the field. If you were with us for Week 2, and if you weren't, where the hell were you? Jason Zircone, Week 2, 3-0 on my picks, baby. The Saints went into Philly, got the job done. Buffalo was able to take down Tampa Bay at home. And the New York Jets beat the New England Patriots at home in the Meadowlands, just as I called it. The Jets are a contender, ladies and gentlemen. You look for Big Green to have a strong year. Mark Sanchez is only going to continue to get better. He's proven that he can be a leader on that team. Tom Brady, he's a little bit shaky getting back into the mix, but I still look for Brady to recover. This is Tom Brady. This is the Patriots. Too well coached to not recover this year. But I'm telling you, keep an eye on the Jets. Rex Ryan's got that team going in the right direction. Great defense, great quarterback. They're going to continue to get better. Now, let's dive into Week 3 head first. Take a look at some games. We're going to stick with New England. They got the Atlanta Falcons coming into town. Tom Brady just has, like I said, has not looked like the Tom Brady of old, and that's a given. You can figure that's going to happen when you come off an injury like that. Still trying to get his feet under him and be in the pocket, trying to shuffle, trying to read the blitz a little bit better. I'm looking for Brady to make some improvements, but not this week. The Atlanta Falcons are playing some great football. Matt Ryan has looked solid throwing the ball downfield. He's finding Tony Gonzalez. He's finding Roddy White. They're getting Turner involved. Michael Turner turned in a 100-yard performance last week. I'm looking for more of the same in Week 3. The Atlanta Falcons stay undefeated, move to 3-0, and beat the Patriots in Foxborough. We're going to call that game a 27-20 final. So lock that one in. Falcons beat the Patriots. Next game, we're going to take a look at the Indianapolis Colts going out to the desert to play the Arizona Cardinals. This game has shootout written all over it, mainly because I have Peyton Manning, Larry Fitzgerald, Kurt Warner, and Reggie Wayne spread across 4 fantasy leagues. So, guys, if you're listening, points. We need a lot of them. It's going to be a shootout. I think it's going to go back and forth. When the smoke clears, I'm going to say the Indianapolis Colts go on the road, go into Arizona. They win this game 41-34. So Peyton Manning is going to continue his performances of the last 2 weeks, have another strong one against the Cardinals. Colts walk away with the win, 41-34. Final game we're going to take a look at. Let's go to Detroit, Michigan. Now, I said it in the first 2 weeks. Detroit has drew some terrible opening games. They had to try to contain Drew Brees in Week 1. Everyone knows that's not happening. Last week they had to try to bottle up Adrian Peterson. For the most part, they did okay. They held him to 92 yards, kept him under 100, but Peterson was still too much. Detroit fell. That all changes this week, folks. The Washington Redskins are coming into Detroit, and they've done nothing to impress this guy yet. I think this is it. This is going to be the show where you heard it first, the ballsy prediction of the year so far. Detroit lights up the win column for the first time in 17 years. They're going to beat the Washington Redskins this week by a score of 23-21. Detroit gets the first win in long time, and Matthew Stafford gets his first win as a pro. So you heard it here on NFL UnCut first. Detroit, get the win. Make it happen at home. It's got to happen eventually. Make it happen this week. Now, let's take a look at the Fantasy Beast for Week 2. Peyton Manning, like I said, this guy is going to go into Arizona. He's already shown this year that he's got exactly what he has had in the past. He's still Peyton Manning despite the coaching change. He's going to go into Arizona. He's going to tear it up. You got Reggie Wayne to throw to. You got Dallas Clark. And you got this relatively unknown gentleman at wide receiver known as Pierre Garçon. Stepped in last week, had a great touchdown catch. Look for Manning to spread the ball around again. Got the running backs working too. Peyton Manning this week, NFL Beast Quarterback of the Week for Week 3. Now, running back, we're going to look at Brandon Jacobs. Listen, pal, this is Week 3. You got to step up and you got to start running some people over like you've done in the past 2 seasons. We've waited long enough. Eli has been spreading the ball around. You've got some receivers stepping up in Steve Smith and Mario Manningham. But this is going to be the week that Brandon Jacobs gets back on track and just starts bulldozing over some defensive players. I don't think Tampa Bay is going to put up a big fight, so I look for Brandon Jacobs to get back on track. He's going to be your Week 2 Beast Pick of the Week. And at wide receiver, we're going to go with Greg Jennings. How do you get out of the game without a catch last week, Greg? First time in your career without a catch. That's all changing this week. They go up against the St. Louis Rams. I'm looking for Aaron Rodgers to put up a monster game as well, and that's going to involve a lot of Greg Jennings downfield, making some big plays, getting in the end zone. So Greg Jennings is going to be your beast pick of the week at wide receiver. Now let's shift gears a little bit. Let's take a look at the fantasy chooches, the guys that just aren't making it happen in week 3. At quarterback, we're going to look at San Francisco and Brett Favre going up against the 49ers. Brett Favre has not had a good history against the 49ers in the past few games, and he's playing in a completely different offense now. This is a controlled offense. It's based a lot around the running back and Adrian Peterson. Brett Favre doesn't need to put up the numbers like he used to. He's not going to be that gunslinger that we are all accustomed to seeing. So going up against the 49ers, who have put a very, very strong defense on the field, I don't look for Brett Favre to get a lot of time to throw the ball. He hasn't completed a pass longer than 21 yards yet this year. Not looking for him to do a lot this week, so Brett Favre is your chooch of the week at quarterback for week 3. I'm backdating myself here. Let's look at running back. Steven Jackson going up against the Packers. Cedric Benson was able to put up some yards against Green Bay, but I don't think that's happening this week. I can't say a lot for the Rams. They only put up 7 points against the Washington Redskins last week. I'm still looking for Steven Jackson to break through, but I don't think he's going to be able to do it against this defense. Packers are going to shut down Steven Jackson, so we're going to lock him in as the chooch of the week for week 3. And finally, wide receiver, T.J. Houshmandzadeh. Now, I'm making that pick based on one thing. They're saying that Matt Hasselbeck is not going to play with his rib injury. Chances are that is going to be the way that things fold out. So you're looking at Seneca Wallace coming in at quarterback for this team. It's a completely different offense when Matt Hasselbeck is off the field. Based on that, we're going to say T.J. Houshmandzadeh is not going to put up any strong numbers. He hasn't really broke out yet. Week 3, it's not happening either. So, T.J., congratulations, you're our chooch of the week for week 3 at wide receiver. Now, just to wrap things up, we're going to do what we do every week. The sleepers, if you've got them, get them in your lineup. Fred Jackson in Buffalo. I'm still riding the Fred Jackson train. He has done nothing but impress me up to this point so far, and this is his last week of being the guy in the Bills' offense at running back. Marshawn Lynch is scheduled to come back next week. You can guarantee he's going to take away some carries from Jackson, but this week, Fred Jackson with the Saints in town, I think he's going to put up one more strong showing and really make a strong argument for him to maintain a lot of those carries when Lynch comes back. So look for Fred Jackson to have another big week. Keep him in your lineup if you had him there. If you don't have him there yet, wake up and put him in. Now we're going to look at wide receiver and Jericho Cotchery going up against the Titans. Tennessee's defense is billed as a very, very good defense this year, but they've given up a ton of passing yards in the first 2 weeks. Matt Schaub lit them up for over 350 yards last week. Therefore, I'm looking for Cotchery to come in against Tennessee. He's building that relationship with Mark Sanchez. They're really starting to establish a strong connection, and I'm looking for Cotchery to step up and have another big game this week. I think he's going to be really, really a strong guy to put in there against the Tennessee defense. So if you got Cotchery, get him in the lineup. And finally, we're going to shift. We're going to stay away from a quarterback. We're going to look at tight end Brent Selleck this week. I'm looking for Philadelphia to spread the ball around the line. You got Kevin Cobb, who threw for 391 yards last week, but the turnovers told the story, and they weren't able to put up enough points to keep up with the Saints. This week, I'm looking for Brent Selleck to have a similar game to what he had last week. 8 catches, 100 yards. I'm looking for Selleck to do the same this week against Kansas City. You want to pick Philadelphia in this game, but at the same time, the turnovers could tell the story once again. Maybe the Chiefs could surprise, but regardless of what the outcome of that game is, I'm looking for Brent Selleck to step up. So he's going to be a good sleeper pick this week. Get him in your lineup. So that is going to wrap up NFL UnCut Week 3. This is Jason Sircone, your host, and I'm making football predictions for the American football fan because that's what I am, and that's who I care about. Ladies and gentlemen, take care, and we'll see you on the next edition of NFL UnCut. Enjoy the action. Jason out.